Luffy and the gang are finally going to attempt to confront Crocodile today, but before they do, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a friend, and join the Discord server down below. And with all that being said, let's jump into One Piece Volume 19, Rebellion, featuring chapters 167 to 176. Part 1, Arrival at Rainbase. This will cover chapters 167 to 168. So this opening section of the volume is relatively short, but trust me when I say this, it might be the most important stretch of the volume in terms of setting up future events in the story. And that is because we are treated to the various perspectives of the major players in the final stretch of this arc. Luffy and his crew, Cobra and his forces, and Koza and his rebels. The thing Oda does extremely well is establishing the various motivations for these three different groups and introducing us to new characters along the way. We already know that Luffy's primary goal here is to defeat Crocodile, so I won't be spending too much time covering his group's motivation, so let's turn our attention to Cobra. Not only are we introduced to the two top members of the Royal Guard, Pell the Falcon and Chaka the Jackal, but we see Karu arrive in Alabasta, carrying a letter from Vivi, informing Cobra of Crocodile's plan. This is when Cobra's leadership is put on full display, as his primary concern is protecting his country, even if it means potentially dying at the hand of a warlord of the sea. And as Cobra instructs Pell and Chaka to ready the troops, we're also given insight into Koza and his love for his country. As I mentioned last time, Koza has been advocating for his country since he was a child, willing to break into the king's chambers in order to voice his dissatisfaction with how things have been run in his country, and after pleading with Cobra to allow him to use dance powder in places such as Yuba, Koza is finally ready to launch a full-scale attack on Alabasta once he and the rebels manage to gather enough weapons, all for the sake of protecting his fellow citizens. Oh, and speaking of all these plans, the current plan is for the rebels to attack Alabasta, while both the Royal Army and Luffy's crew are going to attempt to make their way to Rainbase in order to confront Crocodile. I bring this up because Oda constantly reminds you of this throughout the volume, including visuals to show you where each location is on the map, something that is incredibly helpful with this many moving parts. I find that in a lot of stories, when you have multiple moving parts at once, it can be hard to follow at times. I think that certain Marvel writers in particular are really bad at this. They assume that readers will easily be able to pick up on complex lingo and unclear explanations of things, and leave the reader with an overall underwhelming reading experience. But Oda is the master of this, showing the audience where the groups are going, what they plan to do, and where these goals might overlap. And for probably the 100th time in this series already, great work, Oda. Gold star. And as we finally watch Luffy and the gang arrive in Rainbase, we watch as they encounter Smoker. Yeah, so things just got out of hand. But in the chaos, the crew decides to split up, leading to a mad dash towards Rain Dinners and an eventual confrontation with Crocodile. Part 2, SIR Crocodile. This will cover chapters 169 to 173. This part of the volume follows the exploits of primarily two different groups, Luffy's group and Vivi's group, and both these groups will eventually overlap, resulting in the big confrontation with Crocodile. But before we talk about these groups, I want to quickly mention that Sanji and Chopper will not be discussed a ton in this section, but keep them in the back of your mind for something a little bit later on. So first, let's talk about Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, and Nami, who have made their way into Rain Dinners with Smoker hot on their trail, and in the midst of the chaos, the group find themselves trapped inside a cage. Yeah, Luffy essentially led the group into a trap, which is typical for Luffy, sure, but this is when we are given an introduction to a material known as the Sea Prism Stone. The same material that was found in the tip of Smoker's stick all the way back in Logetown, and a material that has the power to negate all Devil Fruit abilities, rendering both Luffy and Smoker useless, much to the amusement of Crocodile, who says that the festivities can't begin just yet, as they're waiting on one final guest, that being Vivi. So you're probably confused who Vivi managed to team up with, considering Sanji and Chopper are nowhere to be found at this point. Well, we finally get to see why Pell was given the nickname of Pell the Falcon, as he flies Vivi's rescue using his Tweet Tweet Fruit model Falcon. This Devil Fruit is super cool with an equally badass design, but the tone of this reunion shifts drastically as Miss All Sunday arrives in order to collect Vivi for her meeting with Crocodile and reveals her Devil Fruit powers to be that of the Flower Fruit, allowing her to sprout limbs like flowers. Now, I know we have glanced over Miss All Sunday a lot for the time being, and we are going to for a little bit longer here, but outside of her Devil Fruit being revealed, Smoker also reveals something big about her, saying that she is a known criminal who has been wanted by the world government for years now, and he fears that if she and Crocodile are not stopped, it could lead to the entire world being placed in danger. We don't know the exact details as to why this is just yet, but after we watch her easily dismantle Pell, she brings Vivi back to Rain Dinners, where we finally get our big confrontation with Crocodile. Until now, Crocodile has really just felt like a necessary endpoint for this arc, instead of a fleshed out character. But here we finally get a good look at him, and I can safely say he is so fun to hate. What I mean by this is, he is a fantastic villain, and the things he reveals are absolutely horrifying. He has been in control this entire time, even causing catastrophic events like the sandstorms that hit Yuba, all thanks to his Sand Fruit abilities. And oh, speaking of this particular fruit, it turns out that his fruit gives him the same capabilities as Smoker and Ace, meaning that he can turn into sand at will, placing a monumental obstacle for Luffy to overcome, meaning he won't be able to damage him, similarly to Smoker. Crocodile goes on to reveal that Operation Utopia has finally begun, and as he says this, we cut to Nanohana, where we see King Cobra announce that he will be destroying Nanohana as reconciliation for the lack of rain, and in the process, Koza attempts to confront Cobra, and is shot in the process. This entire situation turns out to be a pre-planned ruse, with Mr. 2 disguising himself as Cobra, with Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger causing a massive ship carrying weapons to crash into the harbor, leading to the rebels deciding to take up arms immediately and storm Alabasta, and the Royal Army agreeing to wage war against the rebels, meaning that Operation Utopia has been officially launched and Vivi is stuck dealing with Crocodile. This is when Crocodile presents Vivi with a proposition, as there is still time to make it to Alabasta in order to stop the rebellion, but she must choose between saving her people and saving her friends, as the room they are sitting in will be filled with water soon, allowing Crocodile's banana gators to kill those trapped inside. Vivi falls to her knees, unable to make a choice, as Crocodile feeds the key to one of his banana gators and walks away laughing. This is what makes Crocodile such a good villain. He is so evil, so emotionally manipulative, and devoid of any care towards Vivi and her situation. My good friend and Discord mod Howd Aspect told me Crocodile reminded him of Kingpin from Marvel Comics, and I couldn't agree more. Like Kingpin, Crocodile has always been in control and always feels in control. And this gives him the ability to torment those in a weaker position than him, and this is something that both Crocodile and Kingpin are masters at. But as Crocodile and Miss All Sunday prepare to exit and make their way to Alabasta, Crocodile receives a mysterious call from Le Crap Restaurant. Part 3, Mr. Prince. This will cover chapters 174 to 176. So this is the reason I said not to forget about Sanji and Chopper, because Sanji, operating under the alias of Mr. Prince, has once again gotten in contact with Crocodile and has set a plan in motion to save the day. And as I have mentioned before, Sanji is one of the most intelligent characters in the series, and this is put on full display here in the final part of the volume. To quickly summarize Sanji's plan, he has faked his own death during his conversation with Crocodile, luring him outside of Rain Dinners, and in the process allows Sanji to destroy the bridge leading into Rain Dinners, trapping Crocodile outside the casino. Chopper, disguised as Mr. Prince and in his weight boost form, will lead Crocodile away from the casino, before changing back into his base form and sneak away without Crocodile suspecting anything. All while Sanji would free his crew, and honestly, his plan is executed without a hitch. That is, until Crocodile reveals to Miss All Sunday that the key he fed to the Banana Gator is a fake, that the cage holding the crew won't open, even if they manage to recover it. But thankfully, as all hope seems lost, Mr. 3 somehow returned, showing that he managed to form a giant wax ball once he was eaten by the Banana Gators. And once Mr. 3 is released, we get to see the teamwork of the Straw Hats shine through once again. Usopp suggests that Sanji should have Mr. 3 form a replica of the key out of wax, and sure enough, this plan works. Only for things to be turned upside down when Zoro and Luffy fight a bit too hard against the Banana Gators and causing the interior of the casino to burst, spilling water inside the building and leading to an all-out scramble to save the Devil Fruit users from certain death. But as the crew resurfaces outside the casino, watch as Zoro hauls Smoker up to the surface. Now, personally, I was not surprised by Zoro choosing to save Smoker or the fact that Luffy instructed Zoro to save Smoker, because he knew he would not be able to swim because of his Devil Fruit. And this is where another undeniable trait of Luffy shines through: his kindness. Smoker has been out to stop Luffy from the very start, blocking him around every corner and doing everything in his power to end Luffy's journey and destroy his dreams. But when given the chance, Luffy saved his enemy, because he knew if he didn't, he would certainly die, and something inside Luffy wouldn't allow that to happen. And as per usual, Luffy's kindness pays off, as this one time, Smoker allows the Straw Hats to escape, showing that Luffy not only proved Smoker's preconceived notions about him wrong, but caused Smoker to change his rough exterior as a result. Luffy might be a pirate, but he's also genuinely a good person, and that might end up being his most powerful attribute of all. And as we watch the Straw Hats head towards Alabasta on the back of a giant crab who is found by Chopper, watch as Crocodile attempts to snatch away Vivi. But before he can, Luffy jumps in the way and tells the others to go on without him, setting up a showdown with Crocodile in the next volume. But that does it for today's episode. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with a friend, and stay tuned for Volume 20 releasing Friday. This has been JT, and I hope you all have a great week.